government is that? What kind of government is that? Linda Kogenda administrator. By the way, you have the whole day ngena navako ndina kumulimu. Uganda chintu ekibakabya today. It's not sensitization. Si butamanya bokka. Naye abana basajja batubuulinga bubuulinzi. They're putting Ugandans mu katu. Tebakkiriza Munnayuganda kwogera anaakaaba amaziga ennyo nga bamutwala abawakasiita wabalaba administrator. I'm sure you have been watching abawakasiita. We bakulaba nti nno kati ono ayogera nnyo nga bakuyita Darius omanyi gwe olina page kwata kyokutte nga gwe bakusirisa. Kati obanaalaba ba administrator nga bakutte page nga bagamba kakati mmwe ab'omu diaspora. I am not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm only giving examples sebo kubaffe abasatu abaliwo.
Tikyalumbu yabaddewo ng'asooka n'asirika muko.
Kale kati nsirise
siranga nange nsirika. Bwe tunadda mu kubeera ku bantu abafu tubakuba empiso. Gavumenti tulina kubeera nga tulaba ndabe ffe nga society n'omanya ani gwe nnaawuliriza. Kirumbuye ayogedde ku kino ddala mutuufu bw'agamba nti fuuti 2.5 sizigula mutuufu. Gwe gwawuliriza okutuuka okuyina kuyamba gwe. Naye gwe argument bw'onogizza ku bali ffe twabavaako ne tuvaayo tuyamba abantu. Kati ate gwe debate gy'otuza ffe twabeesonyiwa babeere ne gavumenti zaabwe. Naye ffe tugamba omuntu ayina okutu ebigambo abiwulire. So tetigamba nti nno bwe tuba tetukolokota gavumenti mbu tuba tugiwagira oba tujagala. Twabeenenya gwayonoona ssente zo gwe nnina okugamba oba otegedde tegeera. Ate sivunaanyizibwa ku ntegeerayo oba toyagala zoonoone. Eyo ye approach yaffe. So tetuliwo mbu tutereeze gavumenti. Tetuyina mmundu. Ne Bobi Wine ali wala. Tasobola ekyo tekisoboka. Naye ne gavumenti bwewulira argument yo ng'erimu eggumba ejja kgenda eteeke mu nkola. Kubanga 2.5 yo gavumenti bwegiwera ebeera ntuufu. Teriyo nsi gy'ogenda kujja weemooleremu bw'otyo ng'okyusakyusa environment oteekawo kasasiro. Okitegedde?
Nkitegeera bulungi nnyo era nze sinnaba kugwakanyaako. By the way, opinion yo njagadde nnyo obwedda nkiwuliriza era sinnakuwakanyaako. By the way, actually I am exactly on the same page like you. Nakugambye nabadde ntandika argument yange nti Bannayuganda we are part of the problem.
Mukyala Patricia kyo advocating kiri nti gavumenti nga tennaba gamba abantu nti nga tennaba kujja kuba X kuba abasajja bayita mbuyisi ne X ne baziteeka ku nyumba z'abantu ekimotoka ne kijja ne kimenya abantu basooke bababuulire babasomese nti bannange tubawadde warning.
Ekyo bakikola
kyenabuza administrator
ekyo bakikola era bajja nange gyendi bayiseeyo ne wiiki nnamba nga babagamba mubyejjirewo nga tetunnajja eyo X ate bagiteekako na luvannyuma nga n'ebizindalo byayitamu negwe omanyi Munnayuganda oba tomutegeera era agaana. Ekisooka eyo road reserve gyalimu osangawo landiroodi waawo ng'ali mu kusoloozaawo okumala emyaka nga bali mu road reserve bagirabira ddala.
Admin kyova olaba nakugambye Ugandans are part of the problem.
Ozanya ne Munnayuganda
part of the problem. Tugaanye okutegeera nti we need that change. Maybe nze bit radical.
Omuntu wabazimba ku ttaka Mukyala Patricia ne administrator kuno kuliko abantu abaagala okumanya. Omuntu bw'abazimba okuva ku kkubo lya kolansi alekawo fuuti mmeka zibeera fuuti mmeka okuva road reserve zibeera fuuti mmeka 25.
Buli kkubo lirina specification. Waliwo n'ag'ettaka agayitamu nga ga gavumenti. Ne wabawo ery'ettaka nga lya ggombolola lya town council. Ne wabawo ak'ettaka nga k'abantu kakoma. Ebyo pulaana ku ggombolola wali kye bava bagamba nti jangu twalayo pulaani agiyise kuba ye yabitegeera bw'olina wookoma okutegeera. So olukusa luli olw'okukkiriza okuzimba lukutaasa okuteeka ssente nnyingi mu kifo ekikyamu. Oli wansi w'amasannyalaze oli mu kusima musingi tomanyi layinizo ezo zirina reserve ki bangi kube bamenya bali adda ne ssente z'enguudo ne balemerawo nina amaka gemmanyi nga ne gavumenti za Amini zaasasula ekkubo balowooza likodi tezikyaliyo baddamu ne baddawo. So ebintu ebimu siga nti n'abantu bali innocent nnyo nti bonna bali uniform. Oli mu road reserve osembeza kiyosiki osembeza gofa ofa kugalirayo munno neyibbawo. Mwenna mupangisa ku Land Road omu gwe n'oteekawo ekiyitirirwa ye n'omuggalirayo ye n'abeera mabega naye mu kwerwanako n'ayongeza maaso. Kakati buli omu bw'anaaba akola kyalowooza nga tetulina nteekateeka eri uniform kaba balinde bamale okukola loosi babimenye bwe banaakuba ekituli mu nsawo awo badde engulu. Olutalo lwonna lugonda ng'oli omukubyemu ekituli mu nsawo. Irani kyekoza Amerika ekubye ekituli mu nsawo ya Amerika.
Dr. Nico ayagala kubabuuza wano ku bibuuzo kamuleete. Dr. Nico Dr. Nico sebo gyebaleko.
Hi, Dr. Nico.
Dr. Nico.
Hey, Oliocha.
How are you day? How are you?
Ndi bulungi ogamba otya Dr. Nico?
How are you doing? What do you want to ask?
Just a second, let me put on my camera. Always looks better, not so?
Yes.
I was. Hey, why didn't
when
they
you
say?
use your camera?
I'm trying to save my camera. Okay. Yes. So, great. Thanks for the acceptance of my suggestion. I think you were talking about the sovereignty bill, right? My Luganda is not so good. I'm trying.
Yeah, I will first say goodbye to administrator because I was asking him about the land issues, so he was educating us about the land, and I can also give you a chance to talk about the sovereignty bill. This is the man called administrator. He's a well educated man about land and everything going on in Uganda. So we had a discussion.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, but also when Teacher Lumbuya was here, we talked about the sovereignty bill. So I'm going to say goodbye to administrator. Thank you so much for being here. Mukuru administrator tukwebaziza nnyo okubeera wano. Nja kuddamu nkuleete weekend eddako. Kampeeko Dr. Nico Kachansa ayogere ku sovereignty bill. Tweyanza nnyo tweyanzeege muganda wange.
Kale bannaye nange neesiimye nnyo kubanga mbaddeko wano.
Amina akuume. Dr. Nico, now we can talk about the sovereignty bill which is coming out. Because I know your interest might be in. Dr. Nico, have you heard about the sovereignty bill in Uganda?
Yes, you can't miss that sovereignty bill, of course, and it's another step, of course, of this illegal regime to take a bigger power grab against the people of Uganda. Yes. So what? But maybe you can summarize what people were saying for me.
Okay. Yeah. When Teacher Lumbuya was here, he was explaining that many of the people living in the diaspora will be losing their rights to be Ugandan, the rights to property, through this sovereignty bill. So he was trying to teach people about it, and he talked a lot about it. I don't know if you have got time to pass through this bill, and what is your view about this sovereignty bill?
Yes, so I did see some analysis of this bill, and well, first of all, for me as a Muzungu, I was already a foreigner, right? So, but now, Dios, I can shake your hand because now both of us are foreigners. So for me, this is a good deal.
Both of us are Bazungu now. Both of us.
In some kind of way, and I'm now repeating also what Robert Amsterdam wrote on Twitter, the good thing about this bill, it really shows the cards of this government. There is no hiding anymore how criminal this regime is. That basically the people of Uganda have lost all their rights against the family of Museveni. So that part of the sovereignty bill, I actually like it, because I want to expose this regime. And if the regime exposes themselves, then that is good. I am a bit surprised that none of the development partners have come out to protest, because everybody working with Muzungu is in danger, right? So I had expected them to say something, that they didn't, just show what kind of cowards they are. And I am very sad for Ugandans that this is happening. Clearly, they want to prevent the money that comes from the diaspora to Uganda. It's clear that Museveni wants to control all the money. He hasn't stolen enough from the Ugandans. The fact that when you and me send money, we have the possibility to spend that money in Uganda in the way that we want to. We are paying for school fees, we are paying for hospitals. And even that money, Museveni wants to take it away from us and put it in their own pockets. So yes, this is a very bad bill. At the same time, you haven't seen me opposing a lot against it, because I'll be quite honest. I don't like to fight a battle that I know I'm going to lose, right? We know with these bills, they will always pass. The parliament is so corrupt. So I rather spend my time on elections, right? That is, I wrote that book Rigged. So let me show it again here for the people. That's why on TikTok you've seen me publish some videos about rigging, and I will continue to do that, because I think that with election rigging, that agenda, it's easier for me to convince journalists in the West to write about it than the sovereignty bill. But of course, I totally support your fight, everybody's fight against that horrible bill.
The bill also states that if the government thinks, not proves, but if they think that you are dealing with the foreigners outside Uganda in any way against Uganda, you lose your property, you lose everything, so that belongs to you. This is something that we are more afraid about, because most people in the diaspora, when they earn some money, they are sending it in Uganda, they are buying property, they are constructing their property, they are starting business there. Meaning that with such a bill, you are going to lose your property, you will lose your rights. When you also get kids from abroad, for example, before in Uganda, if your mom, dad, and grandparents are Ugandan, you'll be guaranteed automatic, like the citizenship. You'll get the Ugandan citizenship. You get to be registered to get your Ugandan citizenship. But right now, they want to overturn all that, such that even these kids born in the diaspora, they are not Ugandan. Do you have such a bill in Netherlands? What happens when a kid is born outside Netherlands? What happens?
You know, in Netherlands and Western countries, you don't have these kind of bills, except for the US. But truly democratic countries don't need such a bill. That is point number one I want to mention. Then there was there was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. I'll ask another question.
Yeah, because I was asking you if the kids too, if you get kids and you're outside the Netherlands, do these kids lose the right to their citizenship? Do they lose their rights, because that's what we are going to have as Ugandans. If this
I didn't see that part of the bill. For example, I have a kid, right? A Ugandan kid. And are you saying that my Ugandan child cannot apply for Ugandan nationality? I mean, I have some practical problems, because to apply for my child's nationality, I have to go to Miriam Blaak. Can you imagine? The lady that I'm always fighting.
Nico, like I said, for me, I'm never by the book, but I'm very realistic. So what the president is trying to say is very clear about what the bill is saying.
Dios, you're wrong. I'm going to bring Honorable Nsereko to give his views. Yeah.
I think this is what they're trying to target. Is they're trying to say, Kyagulanyi, stop talking about politics outside Uganda, and you Ugandans on the diaspora, stop protesting, because if you protest, you're going to lose your citizenship because you're talking negative about Uganda. And that is what we've been doing. And like every other country who are suffering the horror of the problem of Museveni, of dictatorship in their countries, people protest all the time. So what they're trying to bring, this sovereignty bill, they're trying to say that people like Patricia, you're non grata going back to Uganda, because you have been talking about the country. And it's very clear. It has nothing to do with, there is no technicalities about it. Mr. Nsereko can come here and explain what kanjogere mu Luganda. Honorable Nsereko asobola kujja wano n'ayogera ebigambo bingi nnyo n'atunyonyola, naye tebalina target. Museveni takola nsobi. Buli kyakola aba akimaze okibala. Bo kye baagala okugamba Kyagulanyi, obadde otambula n'ogenda n'oyogera. Patricia, mugenda ne muloopa Uganda all the time. Mutwalayo protesti, mukola bino, mukola biri. Naye kati babistopinga. Era gumwe ababadde beekalakaasa, ababadde bawoza mbufe.
Honorable, aweereza request.
Aje ndi mwe ababadde bagamba muno biki nti mu Uganda mbi, biki mwabali mu diaspora, kubanga ajjukira Museveni atandika bw'ati. Na kuno ku social media nasasula abantu aboogera ku politics. Ne bigaana ng'ayagala kuba ne change ne bigaana. N'agamba kale n'asasula abantu. Honorable High, kakati, what is he trying to target? He's trying to tell the Ugandans that you can't continuously talk. Although you're in the diaspora, oba inayo property, togenda kujja, mutumanyire, mutuogereko, ate mujje ne Uganda. Kye mazima. You can explain, you can go technical about it, but that is a fact. Simu bubi.
So in simple terms, Patricia, you're meaning that the bill is there to target opposition members in the diaspora. Of course,
obviously.
To keep them
to shut us up. Because they have tried to come and shut us up on social media and we refused. They have tried to buy people off and people have said, no, we are still going to talk. And now they're saying that, okay, fine, Ugandans are continuously, because we are protected in one way or the other. Probably social media, we're well protected, we can talk. Now we can go and face this one, face the other. So bagamba, okay, Patricia, you continuously raise your voices. Nemgana and protesting. Hey, Museveni must go. Never to Uganda, we are protected in one or the other because of the foreign affairs. Vawa ne Bungereza sobola protecting abulungi nnyo. Kati bagamba cool. There is a bill. There's a bill. If you continuously attack the government and talk about it, the bill is going to target you.
Honorable
Honorable Nsereko weyaleeta social media bill. Abaana bamaliriza nga babasiba back and forth all the time.
Yaleta nongosereza etteka lya social media.
Nongosereza teyatuyamba era Honorable yajjewa nakyo ngenda mu obudde era ngenda kwemutinga. I am here to listen. ate nze honorable Nsalo we agree to disagree. Naye yali amaze bivuya era bwe basibye bangi unfortunately.
Honorable Muhammad Nsereko omusajja owekkobe oyo n'abeera maama wange abeera kojjaawo.
Yes, does. How are you?
Mutabani wange kubanga Monica muzzukulu wa Nabwama yenna ambalirwa. So this is my son. Kati bw'oba nkuba nseekaako omusoke empola.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So Lyotia, Patricia, how are you? And Dr. Nico, I think it's just a gentleman I've seen. Good afternoon, depending on where you are, probably good morning or good afternoon. Talking about the sovereignty bill that is being presented to Parliament, of course, we have our own reservations. The protection of sovereignty bill. The first reading was last week. We are processing the bill. And I think by next week, given what is there, we'll be engaging in the ethical debate of the bill from the second reading when the report will be presented by the committee in charge of defense and internal affairs. And definitely we go to the third reading of analyzing clause by clause from definition section, the objectives and desires of the movers of the bill, which is being moved by the Minister of Internal Affairs. What I can say is that, does this law exist elsewhere? Yes, absolutely. There's no question about that. Is it so necessary? That one we can argue, of course, is subjective. Different people will have different opinion on whether this law is really subjective or not. But does this other guest understand Luganda?
Nico will understand slowly. Shall we stand with him?
Will you understand?
When it comes here, we have to follow the majority.
Dr. Patricia,
it's okay. You can because I am in the minority, and so I understand that I will not be understanding everything. So
but I thought
there are 600 people watching this live, and
the majority,
Uganda.
The majority understand English as well. You're not in the minority. Actually, there are very many Ugandans as well who do not speak Luganda or understand it. So, given the sensitivity of the bill, you know, Uganda is multi-tribal. We have over 65 tribes. Not every tribe here speaks Luganda. So, probably
what we'll do, Honorable, you can make a session in English, and then we mix with.
I'll mix. So, one, as an individual, I have reservations about the bill and what it talks about, because it talks about primarily movement of money from people determined as aliens or foreigners into the country. Now, countries in the recent times have been clamping down on movement of money. They started with the anti-money laundering bill. I remember when they brought it, and it was an issue of stopping terrorism in what they call you moving together the unipolar world instead of, multi legislative world, and not where people should move on their own. And you know, transactions in Uganda were blocked as a result of movement of money in illicit ways, etc. But now this one, as it comes through, it poses two challenges. And we shall talk about the limit and threshold. It talks about businesses, it talks about organizations, which might include schools and others, but as a cover. But what am I saying? Does it boost the bulk of the business that is operated between Ugandans, those in the diaspora and those at home? Most Ugandans in the diaspora send monies to their families purposely for support, not basically for politics. A few Ugandans in the diaspora actually do send money for political reasons. Very few. Are there organizations that do support different interests within the country that might be political or on social agenda like gay matters, etc., environmental matters, to mention but a few? Yes. But how does government legislate around those? Through the certification of NGOs. If you think an NGO is not compliant, then what you do, you write to them, and if they do not come up with compliance measures, then you can put limitations and sanctions. Not what we call a blanket law to hold each and every person that is transacting, primarily even for private matters. I was looking at what we call those that do economic interest lobbying, and they are there. For example, you are doing consultancy, it's called economic interest lobbying. I'm doing a consultancy, let's say for company Y that is interested in clean energy, and it sends me $600,000 or euros after having an agreement with them. The requirement at the moment is that I only have to present that agreement to the bank to receive that money. Let's say it's called I&M Energy, it wants to do solar energy and it has hired me as a consultant, and I'm in Uganda, prefers to send me 650,000 euros for that purpose of consultancy, groundbreaking, etc. Does that mean at the moment, and these are the questions we are going to pose to our colleagues, does that mean that in this instance, therefore, I have to go and seek a clearance from the Minister of Internal Affairs? In any case, assuming there are 6,000 transactions of that magnitude at a weekly basis, how will a single minister or a single ministry handle the clearances of all those funds? I think it will be a huge challenge. I think we have to use mathematical data in challenging these people by putting it forward that, yes, you want this bill, and it's for protection of sovereignty, but governments do audit political parties and their actors. And for the NGOs, you have the law that licenses, you can license or revoke a license of a non-government organization at any time as government, as you so wish. Is there any requirement for this law? Is it the much needed law to help you clamp on this? And the answer will be no. In any case, the very law is talking about funding that goes to a minimum of 400 million. Will it stop people who are sending 50 euros, 100 euros from the diaspora to support their political partners? For example, someone has, let's say, the office of Ecological Party or of NUP or of DP or of FDC in Kayunga or PPP, has, let's say, a celebration, provided they are organizing a football tournament, and all they need is $200. And you have 20 people in the diaspora, each of them sending $10 to 10 people. Will this law really be a biting law, or it will be rendered redundant? Because you're talking about a limit of 400 million shilling. I don't know anyone in the diaspora who single-handedly has sent 100,000 euros to a political organization. And in any case, they wouldn't be stupid to do that. If they wanted to do so in any case, they would break it down and say, we are 30 people, we can send this money to another 50 people, and we can send it in bits and weeks. Therefore, I think it requires a lot of not only emotional intelligence, but also data-based analysis to help the people who are framing this law, to show them that it will be so much detrimental to the ordinary person, and it will create a new window of corruption for those that have been, in charge of authorizing the receiving and outflow of money. In any case, you have what we call the Financial Intelligence Authority in Uganda. The FIA can block any form of money that is transferred to Uganda at any time. You don't need this law if you have the Financial Intelligence Authority, which is authorized under the law. And under all money laundering acts in the world, they consult the FIA in Uganda. If it red flags, even if it's 10 shillings entering on your account or your mobile money, the government of Uganda single-handedly through the FIA, the Financial Intelligence Authority, can block your accounts and require you to appear for investigations if it thinks the money has not come in good order. So I think if the government feels that it will not fund political activities, then political parties must look elsewhere. For example, if I have an alliance with the Greens and I'm in the Ecological Party, and it's within the desire for the Greens to say that promote clean environment in Uganda, and they are saying in amongst all others in our agenda is to send you, let's say, 300,000 euros to support tree planting and conservation as part of our agenda. Do I really need to go to the Minister of Internal Affairs? If so, of what benefit is that? What agenda? What detriment agenda are they moving? Because these ones are thinking about things like treasonous acts, funding war. Of course, Trump was very reckless recently when he said they sent money and weapons to demonstrators in Iran. But it's known intelligence organizations will do that. Do they need most of them don't need to go through organizations. They go through their embassies. They have different operatives and money will find its way into certain countries if they so wish. The CIA has done this time and again. So I think this law is going to be redundant. It is a huge deterrence to investment because it talks about investment. And for me, that is where, if you want FDI, foreign direct investments, where people would like to partner with Ugandans, whether Ugandans living in foreign lands or Ugandans that are living in Uganda, to either exchange knowledge or even exchange money to start investments in Uganda. Finally, if this law becomes a threat to what 90% Ugandans do is remittance of money at home to support families, which has been one of the biggest, which would call one of the best and biggest sources of what has grown our GDP. How has it come in? Most of the revenue and the money we've taxed that is coming in is from Ugandans that are living abroad, that are sending it to support their families. It is in trillions of Ugandan shillings. If it becomes a deterrent, this is a government you're seeing shooting itself in the foot. Is it because of the comfort that oil production is going to start, that they do not care about remittances of Ugandans that are living abroad? I don't think this will be a wise. If we create a sound argument based on such facts, I know we'll convince many that are in this parliament, because ours is a parliament that is transitioning. There's someone trying to insist call. In any case, why don't they leave this to the parliament that is coming in, to the incoming parliament? Why are they trying to rush this bill? Because there is no need. Give it time, make further consultations. Uganda is not closing tomorrow. And we can move the way we want to move. But I think this is a government that wants to see itself policing every single note and money that is coming through the country. And in any case, money comes electronically. And all the laws, including the Act of BOU, the Electronic Money Transfer Act and ETC and Systems Payment Act, authorizes government to block money. So if you have suspicion that this money is to cause havoc, please go and block it, then move to court with the individuals that are there. But there are people that are doing forex trading If I'm doing forex trading, probably I move in with about $10,000. I'm in Uganda, but I'm trading on a platform that is not based in Uganda. Probably, I'll give you an example like XNet. So XNet is based wherever it is. I'm trading in the Japanese market. So I hit and come up, let's say, with $100,000, and this is electronic trade, and it has to be settled onto my account in Uganda. Do I necessarily do I need to go and seek authorization from the minister in charge of internal affairs for me to settle this payment? So these are questions that should be put to most of the legislators that probably are not alive to the economic transformation that is based in the advancement of technology.
Can
that
I ask
probably some
something?
of them don't understand. Yes, Dr. Nico, go ahead.
Yes, Honorable Nsereko, thank you so much for coming here on this platform with a lot of your enemies. And I think I read that you are the creator of the Computer Misuse Act. Is that right?
The amendment. The act is
Yes.
there. The parent act is there. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, exactly. So I am very surprised that you are against an act that is increasing the power of Museveni, while you yourself amended a law, brought it to Parliament, that was equally bad for Ugandans. Take Kakwenza, who was tortured and arrested under that law. So many Ugandans, at this moment, TikTokers, are being tortured based on the law that you submitted to the Parliament. So I'm very surprised that you are opposing this law. Maybe you're a little bit jealous, but in retrospect, may I ask about the Computer Misuse Act that has now been regarded unconstitutional? Isn't the High Court of Uganda right that that law was simply unconstitutional?
Well, the findings of the court, if you've read them as regards the same, of course, I appreciate your views. I don't know, starting from what we've been talking about, I mean, where would the jealousy come from about my country? Talking about the protection of sovereignty bill, or because there are very many bills where I've opposed government, actually very, very many. And those where I've found it important that it is very necessary for the protection of our countrymen to live in a harmonious way. Of course, there are very many challenges. Different countries have different cultures. And you pose a question of the Computer Misuse Amendment Act. And what did I propose? I proposed things to do with hate speech. I proposed matters to do with incitement of using verbal violence
but
towards...
look at that hate speech. It's only used against opposition supporters.
Do not worry. Listen to me, because at least you posed the question, and I deserve to tell you this. I know you have a law there, and the EU Parliament passed it, against hate speech against the Jews. You know about it?
Yes, but of course the big difference is that in Europe we have independent courts.
I'm just asking you. I find it not fair.
No, but I agree with provisions on hate speech. But you know very well, Honorable Nsereko, that in Uganda we have Museveni courts. And the Museveni courts will only go after hate speech against the dictator.
By the way, that is not true. That only people
please give an example of someone that tried to insult Chagulani. Right? Chagulani has been severely insulted. Has ever someone been brought to court for insulting Chagulani?
Dr. Nico, can I give you my views? Thank you very much. If anyone has insulted Chagulani, like everyone has insulted me, no one has ever been brought to court because they insulted me. But there are very many people that have insulted me or other people. You understand? But that doesn't make the law mute. If I wanted to do so, I would come up with what they call a private prosecution. I've seen people like even those members of the NUP, like a lady called Juliet Zawede, a known funder. When her mother was insulted by one NRM cadre called This gentleman is from Busoga. If some people can remind me his name, on Facebook, he insulted the mom of Juliet Zawede, who is a known founder of the NUP and the opposition, that the mother had, Kibedi. And she successfully prosecuted Kibedi using the law. So, yes, the media has been caught awash with prominent cases, but I think the law in itself had created a lot of sanity, and people were willing to discuss matters that even if they were disagreeing, they were not seemingly abusive. I would like to tell you one thing about our culture, and probably it might differ from the European culture. We do not believe a lot in abusive language that is carried by people either mated on two families of people or by attacking people based on their tribes. Yes, are there those that do it even when they're in government? I absolutely agree with you. The fact that they are not brought to book does not mean that those cases will be buried. After they leave power, they can be charged by those. They can be charged with those cases, and I can tell you, very many people in government have been tribalistic. They have been sectarian, and the law doesn't protect them. They can use the tools of the justice system now to protect them, but in future they'll be brought to book using the same law. For example, if you commit murder today, you can walk away with it. But later, when the tools are not on your side, you'll definitely be charged. So the law, the amendment in the law was a creature in trying to bring out sanity amongst Ugandans that were not only using social media, but we also talked about hacking. And in the era of artificial intelligence, you've already seen, and many people realize at the moment that someone can use AI to produce another Dr. Nico, seemingly in a hotel room, sleeping with someone. Here, people are very sentimental because it's so cultural. Family ties are so, create a lot of attachment. So if you stop that, and people cannot be sanctioned by the law, then they will go by the law of the jungle. They'll start beating around everyone and then. Therefore, in my opinion, the courts relied on absence of quorum. They did not say that the law is bad in its own totality. They said that the quorum was not there. And what I hear is that the government in the next parliament is presenting a full law on the cycle to accommodate those clauses, and they'll pass it with a fully formed quorum. But if you say that was the law that was being used, even those that were charged, that are being charged, could be charged using other laws like incitement of violence, etc. And the same laws would act upon them. If government has used it and has misused it on certain individuals, that's definitely absurd, like it has misused very many other laws. But that doesn't stop the law from being very, very good.
Well, for example, it is ridiculous that someone has been convicted for saying that Janet Museveni is dead. I think I have the liberty to say Janet Museveni is dead. I'm even happy about it to say that. But it is ridiculous that it is forbidden to say Janet Museveni is dead. We don't know whether she is dead.
Dr. Nico, you know of that conviction? Do you know anybody that has been convicted or someone has been remanded? Because it's two different things.
That is the same thing, right?
It's not the same thing. He is
behind bars and he is being tortured. And he is accused under that law. And of course they remand him.
Let's get this. Let's get this well. There's a gentleman called Mukose. There's a gentleman called Mukose who clearly came out and stated that Janet Museveni is dead, which is not true.
But
he's not a relative. At least he's not a relative of her.
No, seriously, how do you know that Janet Museveni is alive?
But Dr. Nico, let's go slowly, probably.
I'd like to go fast.
Okay, that's fine. The gentleman is not a relative of Janet Museveni. We might differ politically, but I have no right, at least under our law, to misinform the public with authority that you're either unalived or you are alive. that is not my responsibility. There are very many things you can report on that can grow a nation rather than stating that someone is dead or alive. In my opinion, I think that is bad manners. If
No,
he's
but
tortured,
speculating
listen,
is
right?
okay, right? We don't know.
I want to be clear. If it is torture, that is wrong. No one should be tortured. But if you say he was arraigned in court, then that means the due process of following the law has now been accorded to him. He was presented and arraigned in court and has been remanded.
But Honorable, there is no due process. Just yesterday, the wife of the bodyguard of Bobby Wine was arraigned in court and was remanded.
I
There
beg
is
your
no
pardon?
justice in Uganda.
Come again? What did you say?
The wife of the bodyguard of Bobby Wine yesterday, after being
wife-
incommunicado for a
The
month,
wife of-
was
the wife of the
arraigned
bodyguard?
in court and remanded.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this. The
But
wife
that,
of the-
Honorable, is how the courts in Uganda are used. They are
Doc-
abused.
Dr.
They
Nico,
are abused.
if that has happened, that is wrong. As a lawyer, I condemn that.
Yes.
I condemn that you don't hold someone beyond 72 hours and you present them. And if there is any lawyer that represents those people, if they so wish, they can plead that the rights of the accused have been violated.
Can I also ask another question? Dius, is that okay? I would like to ask another question to the Honorable.
Yeah, you can ask one more question, please.
Yes,
If I bring
because
in Dr. Patricia.
Honorable, you are a friend of Mohamed Segerinya and me. I also got to know Mohamed
yes,
Segerinya 2 years ago when he came to Amsterdam as an MP. Again, he was locked up without due process, innocent, tortured, and he told me himself that he was tortured. So my first question to you is, do you know how severely Mohamed Segerinya is tortured? And you, as a friend, shouldn't you have stood up for him? A colleague MP. His balls were pinched with needles. That is what he told me. And he also told the same thing to a Dutch journalist. And I expect other MPs to stand by him, but instead he was just left alone in prison and later he died. And then the other thing is that you then had the guts to accuse the National Unity Platform of not helping him, which was very hypocritical thing to do because the parliament is supposed to cover health costs for MPs, including for Segerinya. That is my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Nico, since you're a member of the National Unity Platform in the diaspora, let me make this clear. Before you saw and met Segerinya, I sponsored Segerinya, the late Segerinya, to be a counselor. I paid his school dues for him to even have that level of education to qualify to be what he is. Do I deny that the late Segerinya was my friend? Not at all. In matters where things were going wrong, he confided in me a lot of stuff. Did I go to visit him and Honorable Sewanyana in prison? Very many times, and you can check the records. So there is a lot they spoke to me that I'm not at liberty to speak. Probably it might not be exciting to the political party.
But I think you're entitled to tell if he reported to
in
you the
future
torture.
I'll put it in my book, probably in my memoirs. Was Honorable Segerinya tortured in prison? He did not tell me about this. Did Honorable Segerinya had personal health ailments? Yes, he did. He did have them. Did the imprisonment of Segerinya and remand for a long time exacerbate his diseases? Yes, it did, because it created mental stress on him. That is one. But also, I can tell you he lost hope because he thought he had lost many friends. Let's talk about his release.
So, sorry to
Dr.
interrupt,
Nico,
but you heard
let's
the
go slowly.
recording of him
Let's go slowly.
testifying that he was tortured, right? Do you think it's
Let's-
credible, or do you think he was lying?
Let's go slowly. I leave it to the deceased. You know, I know what can be said by a politician. I know Dr. Nico. I know there are very many Ugandans that come, some of them when they are seeking asylum. I don't want to say about this because I'm a lawyer, that come up with different stories, and you know that. And I know that.
You know
as
that
well.
he even asked me to take a picture of his
Yes, I
genitals
know.
because
I
it upset
know.
him so much. So, and I definitely think, Your Honorable, that he wants the world to know what happened to him. And the
Dr.
reason
Nico.
why he didn't tell you yet, I think he was afraid.
No, that's okay. But Dr. Nico, I also know that, you know, the medication he was taking while he was there
Yes.
had nothing to do with torture. He had a lot of acute problems with his liver. I know you know that absolutely very well, and his lungs. So his respiratory system was broken down and he had acute infections. The same is in his medical report in Nairobi. So it's privy, but since the guy is deceased, I think it's important to let the guy rest the way he has to rest, because there are very many things that could have caused his death or could have quickened
Maybe
his ailment.
Honorable,
just a minute.
Okay, you can
But
finish.
Honorable,
and then
you
we'll come
remember
into-
the slogan of Mr. Update. And if I recall correctly, it was keep fighting.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so him being deceased does not mean we stop fighting, Honorable. We keep fighting.
No one has stopped you from fighting, Dr. Nico.
No, but
and
he
let us-
even wants to keep fighting, and he is doing that. And I
Absolutely.
want to thank him for his legacy.
Absolutely. And I've seen people lose people, and people use the same slogan. I will not do the same. When we were handling the matter of the late Segirinya, someone said that I accused the NUP. I actually did not have any accusations against the NUP. If you saw what I spoke in Parliament, I said they should increase his funding so that his bills are met.
Well, let me be precise.
However-
Sorry to interrupt you.
however,
Actually, you
just a second,
secretly
Dr. Nico.
recorded
The
a call with
spokesperson- I did
Segirinya
not.
without his permission.
No. We were on a live stream like this. I didn't record him. I'm sorry. You got it wrongly. We were on a live stream and he said, let's go on a live stream. It was him who said it. So I hope
Sure,
that
someone
clear.
in the comments can comment on that.
No, I don't need
Honorable
someone.
Sereko and-
I don't
and
need
Dr.
someone
Nico.
to comment on that because the live stream is still there. I didn't record him.
I can come in a
there were
bit.
other
I can
people.
come in a bit to. I can come in a bit to moderate and ask a question because
There were other people.
The story of-
Naye saagala
Yeah.
omwami ono abule. Just njagala muwe the facts as they are because he's a member of a political party. And at
yeah,
least
I would like to.
I want to have him get to the bottom of that. Then
Yeah, Honorable Sereko, just a moment. I would like to come in and I want to get a clear understanding between what Dr. Nico is asking and what you're answering. Because it is sad when we talk about the situation of Honorable Segirinya, it is very sad. By that time, I had just joined TikTok and I found a live stream where Honorable Sereko was hosting Honorable Segirinya, a
Thank
member
you.
of Parliament,
Thank you.
who was asking for help. But what Dr. Nico is asking too, okay, just a moment, because TikTok is telling me to confirm.
yeah, before you've been there for so long. Yeah. Okay.
What I want to ask, I will not differ so much from what Dr. Nico has said, but I will just put something right here because I had just joined TikTok and I found a live stream of Honorable Segirinya asking for help. He was crying, saying, Muganda wange munyambe, Honorable Mfo Bulumi. Those were his words.
Translate for the guest so that he understands.
Please, I need help and kindly help me. But what I'm picking from Dr. Nico's words is that why would a member of parliament,
No.
this might not
Don't speak that.
This might,
Dias, Dr. Nico is here to speak for himself. So don't interpret.
Yeah.
Tell
Okay,
him.
I will
tell him
speak for myself.
exactly.
Let me
Just a
speak for.
second.
Let me speak for
Tell him
myself.
what exactly he found. What exactly happened?
Yeah, because
English.
I found him on your live studio, and you people were trying to solicit money.
No. Go back. What did Segirinya say on my live stream?
No, he said, I'm dying. He was in total pain and he needed help to help him. But the question here is, why would a member of parliament come out to ask for medical help, finance, from maybe a person like you or another Ugandan, or come even on a live stream, a member of parliament? Because we would think, like what Dr. Nico said, that he's a member of parliament who should be sponsored and paid off all his bills by the government. Why did Honorable Segirinya not get this help needed to save him? That's the thing I would ask from you, Honorable Segirinya.
I think you don't need to ask that from me. You probably needed to ask it from the left, because it was he asking help from me. Before you were there, he was a counselor. He asked help from me. Probably you didn't know him.
So let me say something about it, Honorable. At this moment, I can say that our friend, I call him Hero, Mr. Update, was sick, and he was also very confused. He was looking for help, and he was just trying to get help any place that he could get it. And I find it sad that the government of Uganda took advantage, abused that situation. Because Honorable Segirinya, he loved Bobby Wine. But instead, what he was saying was used against the National Unity Platform and against Bobby Wine. And I know that Segirinya was very unhappy about it. And let's face it, we also know that there were some things that we don't know exactly what happened, right? There were some reasons that in Luganda, Segirinya was never willing to talk about the torture that he endured because he was afraid. It is very clear there was blackmail against him. He couldn't always speak what he wanted to speak. And I don't know why it was me that he told me for the first time, and that journalist, that he had been tortured. Because in Luganda, he was never able to tell that story, but it bothered him a lot. That was clear. That's why he was asking me to take that picture. And can you imagine a grown-up man lifting his dress and saying, "Please make a picture," right? It's a very funny situation. But I didn't expect that 1 year later he would be dying. That was very
Dr. Nico,
yes.
Dr. Nico, if we would quote the deputy spokesperson of the NUP said Segirinya was lying, that he was not sick. That's what he said.
I mean, you and me, we have both heard the diagnosis. So he was sick, period.
Yeah, but
sick,
you're
right?
saying,
he was also tortured.
What I'm saying are facts.
And look,
Just a second,
I don't want
sir.
to talk about Alex Wiswa, because Alex Wiswa